Good question,
Yeah,
though.
put that on there.
What's the best
Is this your
place
first
to-
time it's been here, your polling place?
Yeah. Also, I think we are.
I think I usually vote at Plymouth
Yeah,
Church.
yeah.
So I had to double check on what door I was going to come in because there's literally like a dozen doors here. And if you go to the wrong one, you could be like a quarter mile away from where you're trying to go.
Correct.
So yeah, it's a little confusing. Yes, a little daunting. Yeah,
All
Like
right.
the corn maze.
like a corn maze. Yes, not unlike a corn maze.
I think we are ready to
Everybody's
go.
here. I'll start with happy anniversary to my wife. It's our 14th wedding anniversary today, so we celebrated a little this morning. We'll celebrate a little bit more with dinner tonight, but 14 years in and still going strong. I also want to start by saying it's hard to think how we're being consistent with the idea of government for all when roughly a third of the state of Iowa today was told they're less equal than the rest of the state. Independent voters are not allowed to participate. You'll notice that when I walked in there today, I was asked, do you want the Democratic or the Republican ballot? Two private clubs that have written into the law special privileges for themselves. And so if you're an independent voter who says, I don't want to affiliate, you're literally disenfranchised. And I know that a lot of people say, well, you can just, sign up for whichever party you want to vote in their primary and then change it on the way back. And if you ask enough independent voters about that, some of them will tell you, that sounds and feels like lying. I don't want to lie. And why would we make people do that to participate in our democracy? I think it's wrong. I think it's one of the reasons that our system is so broken right now, that we disenfranchise a third of voters in the state of Iowa right now on primary election day. They don't get to participate. I think that's wrong. Beyond that, I was excited to be in here and vote today for a direction that isn't redder or bluer for the state of Iowa, but that's better and truer. I think, like most Iowans, are very frustrated with the direction of our state. We have averaged 48 for personal income growth over the last 3 years, but we're number one for cancer growth. Our education system, when I was growing up in Decorah, was always in the top 3 in the country. Now we're in the middle of the pack. And over in the Capitol building, they've been spending their time figuring out how to make it harder for us in the state auditor's office to find misspent money. They're running bills to make it so that in the airport, they have to sell you alcohol for at least an hour before any flight departs. What are we doing? I'm not here to tell you that the answer to 10 years of one-party control is to give the other party 10 years of one-party control. I don't think that's right. But I do think that it's time to say enough to the people who have had 10 years of one-party control. It's time for balanced government in Iowa. And I think a lot of Iowans agree with that.
Ready for questions? Who wants to start?
You have a mic you want to throw on
I
there?
sure do.
Alrighty. How are you?
Yeah, you just screwed it on.
I gotta take it off again.
Awesome. Anyone want to start with the question while we're here?
Why do you think it took President Trump so long to endorse Randy Feenstra?
You'd have to ask that question to people in the other party.
What's your mindset heading into tomorrow, knowing that you may not know who your opponent is?
I'll know who my opponent is pretty soon. I mean, we announced over a year ago. We have spent this entire time not knowing, so if it turns out that Christmas morning isn't tomorrow and it's delayed 10 days, I'll be okay.
Who did you vote for in the Democratic Senate primary?
If I wanted to do endorsements, I would have done them back when it would have made a big difference, or
Zach?
any difference.
Zach Lane says that he can beat you because the issues he's running on are not partisan. He's running on helping young people stay in the state, helping family farms stay in business, dealing with public education and the cancer rate. How do you respond?
I'm not going to get involved at this point in the arguments that they're having on the other side. I feel pretty comfortable saying that we can beat anybody that they put against us. I think most Iowans recognize that the state's going in the wrong direction and that they're ready for change.
You talked about how your goal of helping root out waste, fraud, and abuse is kind of driving you on the campaign trail.
Yeah, to me, I'm mostly at the end of the day focused on good government. That can be 7 years of being the chief public corruption prosecutor in the Attorney General's office. It could be 2 terms as state auditor. It could be focusing on the idea that independent voters should get to participate, right? That would be good government. It'd be better government than what we're doing right now. And I look around over the last 2 terms, and we've seen so many examples of just absolute abuse of positions of trust and power. $20 million for Workday when the governor's former chief of staff works there, right? The doubling of the pay of tax dollars for the company that runs the school vouchers program when the contract was edited to get nothing else in return for taxpayers. $170,000 that was paid out of tax dollars for a settlement for an open records violation, where they literally just ignored requests. And state law, as it was written by both parties, said that the people who ignore a public records request should actually personally have to pay for the violation, and that if they do it twice, they might get removed from office. And instead, what the state did was they settled it to use taxpayer dollars to pay for it without any acknowledgement of wrongdoing. I'm sick of this. I grew up in Iowa where we had Chuck Grassley and Tom Harkin, right? Literally my whole life. We had divided government in the state house most of the time. And there was basically an acknowledgement that to get something done, you'd have to acknowledge that a broken clock is right twice a day and work with the other people who were sent there with respect to the voters who sent them in order to get something done. That's what I want to get back to. People who are paid to basically make sure that Republican candidates win, like to scare people with words like California, New York, Minnesota. Those are all one-party states. I want Iowa to be divided government, to be not redder or bluer, but to be better and truer. I think most Iowans are ready for that, and they would see it as a meaningful change in the right direction.
Going into the general election, what kind of distinction are you hoping to make to voters? Like, what is that going to look like in a couple of months?
Well, look, I think I've been pretty clear about who I am. I've been pretty clear about what I believe. 100 public town halls every single year, always with advance notice where everybody can come. Whoever the other side nominates is going to be basically more of the same. We don't know who exactly it'll be, but they're going to be more of the same.
Do you think it helps your campaign if the Republican nomination goes to convention?
I do not know. We'll find out. Or actually we won't, because only one thing will happen. Everybody can guess if they want to.
Are there any issues that you think you're going to have in common ground with the White House with? Anything that you agree with the president on that you think could help the state of Iowa?
Well, I think one of the big distinctions between me and whoever is nominated on the other side is my willingness to stick up for the state of Iowa all the time, which means I'll work with any president, Democratic or Republican, if they're doing something that's good for Iowa, but I'll also criticize any Democratic or Republican president if they're doing something that isn't good. So tariffs have been terrible for the state of Iowa, and yet everybody on the other side, all the politicians that are only supposed to be representing the state of Iowa, are trying to convince people that there's a new golden age right around the corner, when we know the reality is that prices have plummeted, markets have closed, and agriculture, and because of that, Iowa has been suffering more than ever. Do I find places of agreement? Yeah, I'm glad to see that cannabis policy has been eased up a little bit. I'm an advocate for saying that we should treat alcohol like marijuana, so I'm pleased to see President Trump moving in that direction on that, for example.
I think the voter back here had a question.
Well, hello.
Hello, Mr. Sand, we're proud to have you here. How do you intend to ease back these ESAs as time goes on, so we can get our public schools back to be strong like they used to be, and not pay for extra vacation time for the people that can already afford to send their kids to a private school?
Yeah. So I think it's important to acknowledge that if I'm elected, I'll be working with the Republican legislature. Hopefully their majorities are a little smaller, but it's still going to have to be divided government. So I can't run around and do anything other than promise or stake out claims where I think that we can get people to agree across party lines. What I'd like to do is make sure there's income limits on it. We shouldn't be paying it to the wealthiest families in the state of Iowa who make no sacrifices in order to afford private school tuition for their kids. We shouldn't be doing that when we have a $1.3 billion annual budget deficit where our surplus is going to be burned off in about another 2 years. We should have audits of how private schools spend money, just the same way that public schools have to have an audit every year. We ought to have rules for how the money gets spent. It shouldn't just be that The only thing you can't do is pay a rebate to families. The same things that get you in trouble as a public school should also get you in trouble as a private school. I think those are things that most Iowans could agree upon. That and the idea that you also shouldn't be able to just hike tuition by the same amount as the voucher, because that leaves it equally as unaffordable as it was before. So maybe we can make those changes. I'm optimistic about those ideas. You bet.
Do you have any last questions?
Thank you.
When are we gonna find out who your lieutenant governor pick is?
Not today. And not tomorrow.
Before the convention, though?
Before the convention.
You mentioned you're at an anniversary dinner tonight. How are you going to be keeping an eye on results, or will you?
Hopefully I won't be. I'm you know, the polls will close at 8. Once results start coming in, we'll know what it is. I'm the kind of person, guys, I go to bed when I'm at bedtime on election night. I don't have to know before I go to sleep. I'll know in the morning. The result's going to be the same either way. So I'd rather get a good night's rest than find out in the morning and be rested for whatever it is than stay up all night just wondering.
I don't know if you answered this before we got here, but will your push towards the general election change at all depending on who on the Republican side comes out?
I don't think so. I think it's going to be more of the same pretty much no matter what. And no matter what, we're going to do 100 public town halls. No matter what, we're going to open them to every person that wants to be there. No matter what, we're going to be talking about corruption in the state of Iowa. We're going to be talking about cancer, and we're going to be talking about increased costs. Those are things that I think that most Iowans are really feeling and angry about and worried about right now. And I think they can recognize that after 10 years of one-party control, there's one place to look and lay the blame. And again, it's not like they've been trying. $20 million for Workday, gutting the auditor's office to make it harder for us to find misspent money. Literally a bill that, again, I want to reiterate, every single government watchdog in America, Democrats, Independents, and Republicans who commented on this bill said this will lead to an increase in waste, fraud, and abuse. They passed it anyway. I think that's the kind of thing that sticks in most people's minds.
Just one last one. You mentioned earlier California, Minnesota, New York. We saw Democrats in those states be a little hostile to efforts to uncover waste, fraud, and abuse when pressed. Do you find that running on an anti-corruption message would be a winning one for Democrats this year and beyond?
I wish that everybody would run on anti-corruption and would be anti-corruption and would behave in a way that is not corrupt. You know, a lot of the reforms that I talk about, the way you know they're actually good reforms is that whichever party is in charge of a state where they are proposed, that party doesn't like them. And so election reforms that were proposed in Nevada, because the Democrats do better in Nevada, they don't like them there. When it was proposed in Colorado, a lot of the Democrats in leadership positions said, don't do this, because it's working great for the 5 of us that are in charge of things. This is what I'm talking about, exactly what I'm talking about when I say it's 2 private clubs that are running our democracy. Because most people want democracy to be about people being heard. People who are in the leadership of these 2 private clubs, they're very happy with it being about them.
Awesome. I think we're going to wrap it up there, folks.
All right.
Perfect.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you so much.
Good luck today to all of you.
Thanks.
You betcha.